Muscatine, and welcome to Muscatine in Focus. Today we're going to be talking about heart and soul. We have Kristen here to talk about it, and welcome, Kristen.
Yeah, thanks for having us. We're really excited to be here.
Yeah, so we already know your first name, but if you could tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do for heart and soul, and maybe a little bit of background about your education.
Yeah, so like you said, my name's Kristen. I am born and raised Muscatine, and I am the project coordinator for Muscatine Community Heart and Soul. What that means is we are in kind of a asset-based program that tries to figure out what people love about Muscatine. So in my role, I do a lot of survey gathering. I manage the Facebook, kind of whatever needs done for our organization. I'm kind of in charge of that. I also work as the community development intern at the City of Muscatine, which is a really interesting opportunity. And
I think it's a great opportunity.
Yeah, it's
I think
really
it's wonderful.
great. I love it. And I also go to the University of Iowa as a full-time student. I'm going to be a junior at the end of next year, which is really exciting.
Mm-hmm.
I currently am majoring in marketing and HR management, and I'm getting certificates in event management and nonprofit leadership and philanthropy, which is a lot, but it's really interesting, and I really enjoy what I do. And this actually ties into that a lot because we're at a lot of events. We do a lot of kind of working with people, marketing, all that. It's all kind of everything I'm interested in tied into one, so I really enjoy it.
So to all the employers out there, make sure you look Kristen up eventually. So can you talk to me about what exactly is Heart and Soul?
Yeah, so Heart and Soul, like I mentioned, is an asset-based program that tries to figure out what people love about Muscatine. So we do a lot of surveys, information gathering, interviews. Kind of any way we can hear about what people love is how we kind of gather our information. And so as we do that, we try to figure out the big themes that come up time and time again, where we discover what people really love about Muscatine. And then we turn those into what we call heart and soul statements, which are these overall themes that we hear time and time again to help guide city initiatives and planning so that when we're making big plans in the future, it's all really based on what the people really care about.
So what does the typical size of town look like that you do these surveys for Heart and Soul?
Yeah, so Heart and Soul is a national program that does small town work. So it's a rural program that is all over the country. And most of these towns are really small. A lot of the towns that I've interacted with in my role as a project coordinator are like 1,000 people, 2,000 people. So Muscatine is really interesting that it's one of the biggest towns Heart and Soul has ever done. So we have an interesting experience of where we get to do kind of a bigger scale on this project that a lot of the people who work with Heart and Soul have never had a chance to see. So we reach a lot more people than a normal town would, but we still get to connect with a lot of those rural areas, which is really cool.
Nice. About how many towns are there in Iowa, would you say, that are part of this?
I think there's like 10 to 12 now. Since we started a couple years ago, there have been a bunch more joined, so I don't know the exact number, but I think it's about 10 to 12.
Great. What does the survey process look like?
Yeah, so we've surveyed in a couple different ways. One of the big ones has been going to community events. You might have seen us at the Farmers Market, the 4th of July. We went to the Stanley Center grand opening. We went to the Farmers Market. Any of big events in Muscatine, if they're doing like booths and opportunities for groups to get involved, we've been at a lot of those. And so what we do with that is we'll do these heart cards that if you've been at those events you might have seen, where people can write what they love about Muscatine, because that's a really quick and easy way to get some just short feedback from people as they're kind of wandering through an event. We also have a survey that we've done. We've gotten over 200 responses on that survey that just has some in-depth questions about, like, what do you love about Muscatine? Where do you think we could grow? Like, if you live in Muscatine, why do you live here? Why have you stayed? There's been a lot of different ways we've done it. We also have a youth survey because we want to reach everybody, so we want to hear what the kids have to say too. And
that's important. I like that.
Yeah, we have some young people on our leadership team too, which is really interesting. Some high schoolers who come to all of our meetings and make sure that we're really hearing from everybody, because that's something that a lot of the towns struggle with. But one thing that's really cool about Muscatine is we have a really strong volunteer base in like the high school and like the younger people. So we've reached a lot more of those than most communities end up being able to, because our youth do get pretty involved, which is one of the coolest things that I think I've noticed in the program.
So the surveys are, I'm guessing, just typical paper surveys, but then also at the National Night Out last week, there was you had to like pick up little toys, little objects, and put them in a bucket that we want to see Muscatine focus on. Can you just talk about a little bit how creative, because it was extremely creative what you did.
Yeah, so basically, once we collected our goal was 1,000 touch points of data, whether it be the cards, the surveys, the interviews, whatever type of medium we might have used, our goal is to hit 1,000 points of data. And once we did that, we wanted to kind of start narrowing it down to figure out what are those big themes. And so we narrowed it down to kind of 8 things that we kept hearing about and we kept talking to people about, and then we wanted to see if people agreed with what we found. So I was trying to come up with a way to get feedback on that was quick, because at an event like that, you don't want to spend 10 minutes filling out a survey. You want to just kind of walk up, talk to the people, sometimes get a free sticker or something, and then head to the next table, right? So we decided to do a little voting activity, and we used these little beads that were kind of all different colors just to kind of make it more fun. And you could vote for the little statements that you thought were most accurate and most truly reflected Muscatine and what you cared about. And that was an easy way for us to hear okay, everybody really cares about this, but this one isn't as important. So this is what we should be focusing on.
Right.
So.
And I was going to say these free stickers also, we're both wearing one today, so look at those. And so you've already collected well over 1,000 points of data already. So can you touch base on some of the items that you'd like to share?
Yeah,
the statements, if you will.
Yes, so we've created kind of 6 big statements that are what people really care about in Muscatine, and they all kind of fall under a theme, and then we have kind of a statement that kind of summarizes it. The first one's businesses. We've heard a lot of people talk about the small businesses and the large industry, which is something that's pretty unique to Muscatine, is kind of having all of those different business opportunities. And so whether it be shouting out businesses by name or just mentioning that they love small businesses, or talking about how they love the industry and the global opportunities, or the philanthropy within that businesses create in Muscatine, we've heard a lot about that. We've also heard a lot about the people in the community. A lot of people really love the environment and the atmosphere that the different people in Muscatine creates and the connections you can find here. And so whether it be people who are new to town and are I've been able to find people pretty quick and make a lot of connections pretty easily, or people who have a lot of family roots here, I'm born and raised here and I love it here. And so kind of that dichotomy of everyone being able to find their people and being welcomed has been something we've really heard a lot about. We've also heard about the river and nature and the outdoors. That's one where a lot of people really love the river. That's probably one of our most common answers, is the river, the bridge, the riverfront. Everybody loves that. And just a lot of the open spaces we have. We have a lot of really great parks and opportunities for people to go outside and do a variety of different activities, and just there's a lot of recreation opportunities in Muscatine, so we've heard a lot about that.
We do have a nice riverfront.
Yes, it's amazing. We've also heard a lot about education and the opportunities for young people. That includes daycares, it includes the Muscatine Community School District, MCC, opportunities just to get involved for young people. Just everything that the city offers for the youth has been a really common answer, and something that I care a lot about too. I mean, I have 3 younger sisters, so
Gotcha.
That's one that I've heard a lot about, and I'm glad. The next thing is the size, growth, and the opportunities in Muscatine. A lot of people talk about how they love the size of Muscatine, how we're kind of a big town, but we're not big, but we're not a small town either. We're kind of in that middle, there's a lot of resources, opportunities, things you can do, but it still has that small town feel of it being a hometown and connecting with people. And a lot of people when you go out, but you don't know everyone. And a lot of people really love that balance that Muscatine has, which I also think is something that's unique compared to a lot of the towns that do this program, because a lot of them are pretty small. So our balance of we have a lot of big businesses because we're not a small town, but you still connect with people in a way that you don't in a huge town.
Sure.
And then the last one is events and things to do. A lot of people really enjoy the opportunities there are for activities and events and everything like that. So whether it be the Almost Friday Fest, the farmers markets, just being able to go to the riverfront, just riverfront events is a really popular one we get because it's a really great event space. And also the facilities, so things like the Aquatic Center and the Y and anything like that. Anything that where there's things to do, people have really given us a lot of feedback on that.
No, that's great. And I know, just getting out there with your family, friends, and socializing is definitely extremely meaningful to a lot of the people in Muscatine as well. But, it's interesting that you said, and it's great feedback. That's wonderful feedback, and thank you for sharing it. That Muscatine, in a lot of people's eyes, is a perfect size. It's not too big, not too small. We are between the Quad Cities and Iowa City as well. So, and if we need something, we have it here in Muscatine, but if you don't have it in Muscatine, then you could probably just go outside of Muscatine and then come back, right? It's actually well put. So Events.
That's actually something else we heard a lot about was location. That's one of the things that kind of falls into that heart and soul statement is like people like where we're located because it's a river town and it's nearby those big cities. But again, like you still have that small town feel,
Nice.
but you have, again, the resources to do kind of whatever you want.
Okay. Well, that's great to
Yeah.
hear. That kind of backs up a lot of our initiatives that we're
Yes.
working on. Talk to me about events coming up.
Yeah, so we have 3 big events coming up. We're trying to get a bunch of community involvement because we have these 6 heart and soul statements that we've written, and we want to see if people really agree with all of the details we've put in and what we've really emphasized in those statements to make sure that when we send those to the city council and to everybody doing leadership things in the town, we want to make sure that they're what the people really want. So we have 3 events coming up. We have one on August 13th at 2 p.m., and that one's at Musserville Church. We have 2 of them on August 15th. One of them's at noon at the Riverview Center, and the other's at 6 p.m. at Calvary Church. And so at those events, we're going to be kind of taking our heart and soul statements and really just like breaking them down and talking about each of them and getting everybody's feedback of how accurate are these statements, how do we feel about them, are there things we should change, things we need to make sure we keep, and just really making sure that because a small group of our leadership team are the ones who like took the data, we sorted through all the pieces of data, we printed all of them out, cut them up into strips, and then sorted each one into the categories it fell into, and broke it down. So we went through all the data, every feedback piece we got from anyone we talked to, and we figured out these statements based on that. And so we want to know, did we do it right, is basically what we want to do here. And so we want people to come to our community events to help us figure out if that's really what people care about. And yeah.
And if I may ask, the end goal of Heart and Soul is to get the feedback from the residents and then implement the changes specifically is what I'm
Yes.
thinking. Okay.
The idea is that at these meetings, we'll also be doing kind of action steps. So it's like, okay, this is what people care about. Where do we go from here? What should we do with that? And so that's where kind of I think it's going to be about the second half of those meetings is going to be action steps and what do we care about to the point of where can we go? And then once we have some of those action steps, those are going to actually be presented to City Council to make sure that they kind of know what the people really care about, which I think is a really awesome opportunity to have your voice heard by the city and in a way that sometimes isn't always as achievable because this is just a casual event. You can come get snacks, come get dinner or lunch, come just have a chat with us.
Well, I think it's great because all the information that you just shared, if you're sharing that to the city council, which they represent everybody in Muscatine, I think that's extremely smart. And is that something that you're going to be part of too, coming back potentially?
I hope
or-
to be.
Okay. I just didn't know how all that works, but that's really exciting. I thank you for all the work that you've been doing.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you'd like to share to the audience since they're here? Contact information or any kind of things like that if they have any questions, who they should contact regarding?
Yeah. So we have a website. It's muscatineheartandsoul.org. You can check out our website. It has the surveys, information, contact information. You can email me if you have any questions at cdintern@muscatineiowa.gov. And we hope to see you at our events. We also have a survey. If you aren't able to attend one of those events, but you still want to give your feedback on some of these statements, you can find it on our website or on our Facebook, Muscatine Community Heart and Soul. There also has details about the events. That's where we do a lot of our marketing, so check out our Facebook. And yeah, we hope to see you at our events, or we hope to see your responses on our survey.
Great. Well, thank you so much for being on the show today. And Muscatine, thank you so much. And make sure you get out there, continue to give your input, show up to these several meetings that are coming up as well. And again, thank you so much, Muscatine. And remember, be your best, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.